Tinawagan ako 3 o'clock in the afternoon na pumunta sa Sofitel para mag-file ng COC. Pwede malaman anong rason? Ang sabi sa akin, wala na tayong ibang nakitang pwede magpapatuloy sa legacy ni President Duterte, kundi ikaw. I am consistent. I filed my candidacy both as a principal or as a supernumerary. Pwede akong palitan anytime. Party decision should always prevail.
You heard Senator Bato de la Rosa, PDP-Laban standard bearer, admitting that party leaders informed him just hours before deadline that he will be fielded in for the presidential race. But the lawmaker is open to dropping out should presidential daughter Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio decide to run.
Such statements, according to the Commission on Elections, may serve as basis to declare De La Rosa as a nuisance candidate. All body spokesperson James Jimenez says it puts into question whether or not the senator has a bona fide intention to run.
Parang inamin niya na rin na placeholder siya. Because if you're saying na okay ka lang napalitan, di asan dun yung bona fide intention mo to actually throw your hat in the ring?
Good evening, I'm Gretchen Ho.
I'm Robbie Alampay. You're watching The Big Story. PDP-Laban refuses to call Senator Bato de la Rosa a placeholder. They say he has always been a part of their list, but the party admits changes could still happen.
Even as his recent statements might put him at risk of being declared a nuisance candidate, Senator De La Rosa says he's ready to fight to be the next president. Mayan Los Baños with The Big Story.
Senator Bato de la Rosa's filing for the presidency on Friday was a buzzer-beater. He admitted to being a last-minute choice for the Cusi faction of PDP-Laban and was only notified by Party President Alfonso Cusi 2 hours before the deadline for filing of candidacy.
Ang sabi sa akin ng liderato ng PDP-Laban na si Secretary Cusi, wala na tayong ibang nakitang pwede magpapatuloy sa legacy ni President Duterte na iiwan, kundi ikaw. Sino bang hindi magulat? Presidente na yan eh. Abuti sana kung ordinaryong posisyon lang yan.
For political science professor Dennis Coronacion, the last-minute filing was a product of the party still hoping that Mayor Sara Duterte will change her mind. He says the former top cop is just a placeholder for the presidential daughter.
In the event na that's going to fail, that plan is going to fail or will not materialize, ang magiging role naman niya is to be the standard bearer of PDP-Laban, Cusi faction.
While refusing to tout Bato as a placeholder, PDP-Laban acknowledges that changes might still happen.
Pwedeng magbago, di ba? Bakit? Because there is a process that until November 15. So I don't want to say na, hindi, wala na yan. Yan na talaga, nakataga na sa Bato yan. Si Bato na.
De La Rosa said he was never informed that he is only a temporary candidate, but expressed willingness to give way to Sara.
I have said I am consistent. I filed my candidacy both as a principal or as a supernumerary. Pwede akong palitan anytime. Party decision should always prevail.
Such statements, the COMELEC warns, may serve as ground to declare Senator Bato a nuisance candidate.
Inaamin niya na okay lang sa kanyang masubstitute siya. Because if you're saying na okay ka lang napalitan, di asan dun yung bona fide intention mo to actually throw your hat in the ring?
But President Duterte himself stressed that his daughter is already out of the race. Should that be the case, Bato said he is ready to fight to be the next president. The senator says he will continue current administration's programs, including the war on drugs. Reporting for News 5, Mayan Los Baños, we are One News.
Senator De La Rosa is not the only one at risk of being declared a nuisance. The COMELEC says about 95% of filers for the top executive post might be scrapped.
We have 97 filers for the position of president. And that's 97. I know, right? I'm guessing around fully 95% of that will eventually be stricken off the list, no? Dahil marami naman po talagang obvious na talagang hindi aabot sa final list of candidates.
Mr. Jimenez said the agency's grounds for disqualification are limited by law. Section 69 of the Omnibus Election Code of the Philippines defines nuisance candidates as those who put the election process in mockery or disrepute. They also cause confusion due to similarity of names. They may also have no proven bona fide intention to run for office, while the only consequence is removal from the list of candidates. House Bill 9557 proposes to impose fines for a minimum of 100,000 pesos against nuisance candidates. The measure is now on its final reading.
These are the other big stories tonight. The Octa Research Group says the country is winning its fight against the Delta variant. The downtrend in cases, says the Health Department, might mean a merrier Christmas this year. Pump prices are set to go up with another big-time hike on Tuesday, marking 7 straight weeks of increases. Transport groups are now calling for a fair hike. And actor Jake Cuenca finds himself in a real-life car chase and shootout with police officers. These big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. COVID-19 cases continue to decline in Metro Manila as the country's caseload drops to its lowest in 2 months.
But that does not mean looser restrictions leading to the holidays. Greg Gregorio with the details.
The health department continues to see a downward trend in the number of COVID-19 cases. Since its peak in early September, data shows a 4,000 drop in the 7-day moving average of the daily new cases nationwide. As for NCR, less than 2,000 daily new cases were recorded last week. That translated to positive progress in hospital utilization rate, both for ICU and non-ICU beds. At the national level, ICU bed utilization is still at a high risk, but the utilization of non-ICU beds are now at the safe zone. Only 3 regions are now at high risk. NCR and 7 other regions are now under moderate risk. 6 others are under low risk.
Nakita na ho natin na kaya natin lahat pababain ang mga kaso kahit na gaano ka-dangerous ang variant na meron tayo ngayon.
And even with the additional 411 cases of the Delta variant, the Octa Research Group says the downward trend may mean victory over the Delta variant surge.
Tingin nga natin ito na yung patapos na yung Delta variant. Hindi pa ubos yung Delta variant pero kumukonti na sila.
Professor David likewise noted that Metro Manila may be classified as low risk in the next weeks, adding that the alert level 4 may be de-escalated come October 16.
Nakikita natin ay tuloy-tuloy na yan hanggang Pasko at magiging maligaya na sana ang Pasko natin. I mean, yan yung inaasahan natin.
The DOH issued projections should the alert level system be de-escalated. According to the DOH, Metro Manila may see a higher number of daily new cases should it be placed under alert level 3, compared to what the numbers could be under a status quo alert level 4. Still, the DOH shares the same hopes for a better situation come Christmas. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
Hospitals are now preparing for the vaccination of minors aged 12 to 17 years old. That's set to begin Friday, October 15. Dr. Drew Camposano of the Pediatric Infectious Diseases Society says minors with comorbidities and those between the ages of 15 to 17 years old will be prioritized. Aside from consent from their parents or legal guardians, the children will also have to sign assent forms. The DOH also reminded the public that only designated hospitals are allowed to administer COVID-19 vaccines for minors.
Sa ngayon po, A3 muna po yung uunahin natin, yung mga batang may comorbidity. Yung mga may medical complexity, ibig sabihin yung may mga maraming sakit, tulad ng mga congenital na sakit, congenital heart disease, mga ganon. Okay, may mga genetic conditions, merong mga neurologic conditions.
Here are the other big stories on the 2022 national elections. The Commission on Elections says some of the party list applicants are a joke. Comelec spokesman James Jimenez told Agenda that much of the 270 submissions will be disqualified. From jokes to tensions, Comelec Chairman Sharif Abbas was caught in a now-deleted Facebook Live video berating the staff of the poll body's Education and Information Division headed spokesman James Jimenez. Abbas also accused them of fearing Commissioner Rowena Guanzon, but not him. Guanzon took to Twitter to rant about the berating and the special mention. And Comelec has resumed its voter registration today after last week's candidates filing. The extended registration following public clamor will only be on weekdays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. October 30, Saturday, is an exemption as the final registration day. Following his unexpected passing on Saturday due to COVID-19, tributes poured in for the late Commission on Human Rights Chairperson Chito Gascon. Camille Samonte with the story.
Friends and colleagues continue to mourn the passing of Commission on Human Rights Chairperson Chito Gascon. Gascon had succumbed to COVID-19 complications at the age of 57. On Sunday, they paid their respect in a memorial service in the Liwasang Jokno at the CHR office. CHR spokesperson Attorney Jacqueline De Guia admitted Chito's death was very sudden and unexpected. She also shared that before Gascon's passing, he once again showed his selflessness.
He would always think of others before himself. He didn't like to be really hospitalized. He thought he was faring well also. And he also wanted to go home and recover, and thinking that the bed was for somebody else who was needing it more than him.
De Guia added that Chito will be remembered as a person who stood by his principles despite all criticisms thrown at him.
Kita mo talaga yung puso niya doon sa gusto niyang mangyari sa trabaho, and he forged on. He could have easily given up. He could have been affected. He could have taken the easy way out. But he rallied on. He knew that the CHR was needed most at that time until now. And he held on the fort up until his last day.
Chito's longtime friend and former colleague Arnel Casanova described him as a very simple and compassionate person.
Napaka-low profile na tao, napaka-down to earth, pero kung magtitingnan mo ang kanyang karanasan at ang kanyang achievements, you will be amazed, no? At saka yung higit doon siguro yung pagmamahal niya sa kapwa niya, no? And that's also why I think he's very happy serving in the CHR, the Commission of the Human Rights, despite all the difficulties and challenges that he had to face.
Former Supreme Court spokesperson Attorney Ted De meanwhile hailed Gascon for upholding human rights in the country.
He was the right CHR chair at the right time. No? Nung panahon na kinailangan ng isang taong tumindig at para sa karapatang tao, no, at hindi aatras, no, kahit na anumang batikos, kahit na anong panlalait, pagmumura, no, kahit anong gawin sa kanya at sa komisyon, no, si Chito yung tumindig.
Gascon had been a human rights defender since the Marcos regime. He was also a vocal critic of the Duterte's administration's bloody drug war. He was appointed in 2015 as CHR chair by the late former President Benigno Aquino III. Prior to that, he was a member of the Human Rights Victims Claim Board, which was tasked to receive, evaluate, and investigate reparation claims made by victims of human rights violations during martial law. The human rights lawyer and political activist was also the youngest member of the Constitutional Commission that drafted the 1987 Constitution as well as the 8th Congress. Following his passing, Commissioner Karen Gomez Dumpit is set to serve as the officer in charge. For News 5, Camille Samonte, We Are One News.
For the big story in sports, for the first time in their pro careers, Dela's teammates and collegiate rivals Thirdy Ravenna and Kobe Paras reunite in Japan for an exciting weekend matchup. Kiefer Ravenna and his team, meanwhile, continue their winning streak. A look into their performances in my report.
First quarter ended 23-11, and here comes Kobe Paras.
Fans of the Japan B-League were treated to a rivalry matchup between Thirdy Ravenna and Kobe Paras last weekend. In the first game, Kobe and do-it-all import Roscoe Allen powered Niigata Albirex BB to fend off Thirdy and the San and Neo Phoenix 77-64.
The best of friends. 30 gets denied there by Kobe.
Paras unloaded 21 points on an efficient 8 of 16 clip from the field to go with 5 rebounds and 2 blocks.
There's a steal by Kobe. Kobe's gonna finish. Bang!
He even finished with a highlight dunk to cap off the first game. But Thirdy and San An were not to be denied in the second meeting. Thirdy and the rest of the team survived the late rally of Niigata in the fourth quarter, picking up the 85-82 victory. Thirdy had a difficult shooting performance from deep, but hustled his way to 13 points, 9 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1 block for San An.
Kiefer left open. Hits that 3.
In other B-League games, Kiefer Ravenna and the Shiga Lake Stars continue their winning ways as they grab back-to-back games against Ibaraki Robots. Kiefer had another solid performance with 11 points, 2 rebounds, and 7 assists. Meanwhile, Juan Gomez de Llano played his best game in the B-League with 11 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. But his team, Earth Friends Tokyo Z, are still looking for their first win of the season. Gretchen Ho, We Are One News. Time for another quick break. When we return, transport groups are now calling for a fare hike as pump prices are set to increase once again for a 7th week. And a delivery rider gets shot after police officers shot at Jake Cuenca's vehicle during a car chase. More details after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Pai.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. Oil firms are set to jack up pump prices once again starting tomorrow.
Jeepney drivers are already feeling the pinch as higher prices eat up their earnings. They now want a fare hike. Dale De Vera has the story.
The series of oil price hikes has been a burden for jeepney drivers like Roger. Take-home earnings have been reduced to 300 pesos a day from 800 previously.
Napakamahal ng mga bilihin. Tapos ganun-ganun na lang kita namin. Kinikiling lang namin na sana, wag naman itataas yung gas eh. Kasi yung gas, doon man lang nakinikita namin, napupunta.
Since January, prices of gasoline, diesel, and kerosene have gone up as much as 16 pesos per liter. That's bound to go higher. On Tuesday, oil firms will jack up prices once again at more than 1 peso per liter of gasoline, diesel, and kerosene. This marks 7 straight weeks of increases due to tightening supply. Pasang Masa is now calling for a fare hike to at least 13 pesos.
Ito po isang bagay na dapat maunawaan din nila dahil hindi na po kaya, halos hindi na kaya na mamatay na sa gutom ang pamilya ng Duterte.
But consumer group Laban Consumers says this will be a burden, especially for minimum wage earners.
Mahirap yun kasi you're talking here of 3 pesos. Kumbaga, hindi bale kung point A to point B ang lakbay ng isang pasahero. Kung 2-3 beses siyang magpapalipat-lipat para makarating sa pupuntahan niya.
The group is also expecting prices of goods to increase due to the oil price hike, as delivery charges will increase. To temper the hike, the group calls on government to halt the implementation of excise tax as prices continue to rise. For News 5, Dale de Vera, We're One News.
Tropical cyclone Maring intensifies into a severe tropical storm and is now endangering the Babuyan Islands. As of 4 p.m., Maring was located at 105 kilometers east-northeast of Apari, Cagayan. It's packing maximum winds of up to 95 kilometers per hour and gustiness of up to 115 kph. Several areas have been placed under signal number 2, and these are Batanes, Cagayan, including Babuyan Islands, Apayao, Kalinga, Mountain Province, Abra, Ilocos Norte and Sur, as well as the northern portion of Isabela. The rest of Isabela is under signal number 1, as well as Nueva Vizcaya, Quirino, Ifugao, Benguet, La Union, Pangasinan, Aurora, and Nueva Ecija. Same goes for Tarlac, Zambales, Pampanga, Bulacan, Calagos Islands, and portions of Bataan and Quezon. The center of the severe tropical storm is forecast to pass very close or over the Babuyan Islands by tonight. Maring may exit the Philippine area of responsibility tomorrow morning.
Last Friday, a Filipino health frontliner from New Jersey died after she was knocked down by a fleeing thief in New York City. Jenny Dongon has the story.
A harmless stroll along Times Square in New York turned fatal. 58-year-old Filipino nurse Maria Ambrosio was with her 4 friends in the famous Big Apple spot on Friday when a homeless theft knocked her down while fleeing the police.
Para siyang natulak, gano'n. Tumama yung ulo sa simento. Masama kang tama sa batok. Opera niya daw, kaya lang doon sabi ng doktor. Parang guli, kaya pagka na-operahan.
This video shows the Filipino frontliner on life support fighting for her life. But she eventually succumbed to serious head injuries.
Halos yung pagiging nurse niya, dinedicate niya talaga yung buhay niya sa abroad. Almost 25 years.
Authorities arrested the mugger, Jermaine Foster. He was charged with second-degree murder. His family says he is suffering from mental health issues. While relieved, Maria's family still couldn't take the untimely death of their loved one. She was supposed to go home March next year to bury her dad, who was cremated after dying due to COVID-19.
Pagdusa na sa kulungan, yung kaso kasi niya, nilagyan ng murder. Nobel. Hindi siya makakalabas ng lifetime na yun.
El Mercato, Consul General in New York, said that Maria is the latest victim of the ranged individual on the loose in New York City. Cato urged authorities to increase police visibility to make the streets safer. The palace has called on the U.S. government to investigate the incident.
All victims of violations to life are entitled to a speedy domestic remedy. So we appeal, of course, to the U.S. administration to investigate and prosecute the killer of this Filipino nurse.
Maria's body will be cremated after a public viewing in New York. It remains to be seen if her ashes will be brought back to the country. For News 5, Jenny Dongon, We Are One News.
In this cell phone video, a man is sitting on the sidewalk as policemen approach him. Here, a motorist is lying on the ground, about to get carried to a stretcher. Bystanders blurted out that he was hit by a stray bullet. And no, these are not scenes from Palos. Apparently, the man the cops are talking to is actor Jake Cuenca. Jake's off-road vehicle reportedly rammed into a police car during a buy-bus operation in Mandaluyong. A car chase ensued after Jake allegedly sped off. Police opened fire but hit a delivery rider instead. The rider is now in stable condition at a nearby hospital. The cops involved in the chase are under restrictive custody, while Jake was temporarily released after spending the night at the Mandaluyong police station. He would be subjected to a medical examination, while his car has been impounded. Police pressed charges of reckless imprudence resulting in damage to property. Jake's father said his son sped off out of fear, since the cops in question were in civilian clothes. Co-actor Paulo Avellino defended Jake, who was supposed to visit him after recovering from COVID. Paulo says he'll also run for his life if someone in civilian clothes starts to shoot at him. For him, Jake was in the wrong place at a wrong time. Nick Garcia, We Are Win News.
This October 15, an alien cat general is set to teach Filipino values in a 3-minute, 7-episode animated series. Meet General Tuna of Planet Mingming, who's about to invade planet Earth. General Tuna stays in a Filipino household for reconnaissance only to adopt lovable Pinoy traits. This series is created by Rocket Sheep Studios in partnership with the National Commission for Culture and the Arts.
Dadating ang araw na ang planet Earth ay magiging pagmamayari ng planet Mingming. At yan ay dahil sa kagitingan ng inyong lingkod, si General Tuna!
Do you know my first pet was a cat named Ming?
Talaga?
Oo.
Ako, nag-uumpisa pa lang kami sa cat sa bahay.
Kamusta naman difference sa dogs?
Ibang-iba, no? Ibang-iba.
Mas mabait.
Oo. At saka hindi kami pinapansin. But yeah, speaking of, heroes and values, I would be remiss on a personal level kung hindi ko kilalanin at magbigay pugay sa isang kaibigan natin na tunay na bayani, real life, Chito Gascon. Maraming salamat sa iyo, kaibigan.
Maraming salamat sa iyong body of work at daming nangyayari, but we continue the fight and we press on.
We press on. We will persevere.
That wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
And stay safe, Philippines. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Hall. We are One News. Have a good evening.
We can hope. Well,